Hey, buddy. The one they laughed at in front of everybody. The one they tried to reduce into a meme, a joke, a public execution with comments flying like bullets and fake smiles stretching across poisoned faces. Yeah, you. Stay locked in for a second. Don't move. Because what happened to you wasn't humiliation, it was initiation. And the terrifying part, they still don't realize what they created. You remember the moment, don't you? That cold feeling crawling into your stomach while everybody watched. That split second where the room tilted sideways and you could hear their laughter louder than your own heartbeat. Somebody recorded it. Somebody reposted it. Somebody slowed it down. Somebody added music to your pain like it was entertainment for starving parasites scrolling at 3 a.m. looking for somebody weaker than themselves just to feel alive. And for one dangerous moment, you almost broke. That's the part nobody talks about. Not the revenge, not the comeback, not the edits with dark music and captions pretending you were always powerful. No, the real transformation happened in the silence afterward, when you sat alone replaying every word, every smirk, every fake friend pretending not to notice, every coward who watched it happen and said nothing, because humans worship safety more than truth. That's when the split happened inside you. That's when the saint and the psychopath shook hands for the very first time. Because before this, you still believed being kind guaranteed protection. You still thought being patient made people respect you. You still believed your softness would inspire mercy. How adorable. Pain teaches faster than love ever will. And humiliation, public humiliation, oh, that's a different species of pain entirely. That kind of pain rewires the nervous system. It turns hesitation into instinct, turns overthinking into observation, turns loneliness into surveillance. You started noticing everything after that. The fake concern, the strategic compliments, the little passive-aggressive jokes disguised as just playing. The way weak people travel in packs because individually they collapse under the weight of their own insecurity. And suddenly, something changed in your eyes. Not rage. Rage is loud. Rage is sloppy. Rage punches walls and screams into cameras. No. What happened to you was colder than rage. You became calm. And calm people are terrifying because they stop reacting emotionally to disrespect. They start studying it, weaponizing it, saving it, like ammunition. That's the part the internet can't shut up about now. Because when they humiliated you publicly, they expected a breakdown. They expected tears, a meltdown, an apology video, a nervous explanation. What they got instead was silence. And silence is psychologically catastrophic to people who expected control over you. See, unpredictable people break reality. A person who screams back, predictable. A person who begs, predictable. A person who collapses, predictable. But you disappeared. And that's when their confidence started rotting from the inside. Because humans are only comfortable when they understand your next move. The moment they can't read you anymore, fear enters the room. You became unreadable. You smiled less, talked less, explained less, but your eyes started carrying this strange electricity, like there was a riot happening behind them. And while they were busy mocking the version of you they thought still existed, you were evolving in the dark, like a creature adapting to deep water pressure. That's why your comeback hit like a psychological car crash. It wasn't just success. Anybody can get lucky once. No. What shattered people was the energy shift. You stopped needing validation. Do you understand how dangerous that makes somebody? The moment you no longer need applause, you become impossible to manipulate. And suddenly the same people who laughed at you started watching you obsessively, refreshing your page, checking your name, monitoring your moves like nervous civilians hearing footsteps outside during a blackout. Because now the internet can feel it. You're not performing anymore. You became authentic in the most horrifying way possible. See, most people are fake versions of themselves designed for survival. Pain ripped the mask off you permanently. Now there's this paradox inside you that confuses everybody. You can be compassionate and absolutely merciless, calm, but emotionally radioactive, forgiving, but never forgetful. An angel when respected, a demon when cornered. That duality is what makes you unforgettable, because humans are addicted to certainty. They want labels: victim, villain, hero, loser. But you became something worse, unclassifiable, and the internet is losing its mind trying to figure you out. That's why people keep talking about what you did next. Not because it was loud, because it was surgical. You didn't crash out publicly. You didn't expose everybody in emotional desperation. No. You let success become revenge. You let mystery become intimidation. You let discipline become psychological warfare. And deep down, the people who humiliated you know they created this version of you themselves. That's the guilt eating them alive at night, because they remember the softer version of you, the safer version, the version that still hesitated before becoming dangerous, gone, dead, buried under screenshots, laughter, betrayal, and humiliation. What exists now is refined through suffering, and suffering creates monsters with beautiful manners. That's why your energy feels different. Now, people can sense it before you even speak. You walk into rooms quieter, but somehow heavier. Like your presence alone is carrying untold stories, untold violence, untold restraint, and restraint. Oh, restraint terrifies people more than aggression ever will. Because restrained people are constantly choosing not to destroy things. That's power. See, anybody can become cruel. Weak people become cruel every day. But becoming controlled after pain, that's evolution. Now look at them. The same crowd that tried to publicly humiliate you is trapped watching your resurrection in real time. And it burns them, because your existence became proof that they failed. Every post you make irritates somebody. Every silent win suffocates somebody. Every glow-up reminds somebody that they underestimated a person they should have feared. And the craziest part, you never even had to announce revenge. The transformation itself became revenge. That's why people can't stop watching you now. Humans are addicted to transformation stories, especially dark ones, especially when the person returns colder, sharper, almost supernatural. They stare because your energy reminds them of something terrifying. That pain doesn't always destroy people. Sometimes it upgrades them. Sometimes humiliation becomes fuel. Sometimes public disrespect creates private obsession. And sometimes the person everybody laughed at becomes the most dangerous individual in the room because they no longer fear losing approval. That's you now. You operate differently. You understand human nature now. You understand most people only respect power after they fail to break you. You understand loyalty disappears when comfort is threatened. You understand crowds are emotionally primitive and easily manipulated. But you also understand yourself now. That's the difference. You discovered there was another creature living underneath your kindness the whole time. Something ancient, something patient, something smiling quietly while the world underestimated it. And now the internet won't shut up about you. Not because you begged for attention, because your silence became louder than everybody else's noise. They expected humiliation to finish you. Instead, it introduced you to yourself. And that realization is the part that scares everybody the most. Because once a person turns pain into power, once a person survives public humiliation and comes back calmer instead of weaker, they become almost impossible to control. And you know what the funniest part is? The people who laughed the loudest are the same ones watching you the closest now. And isn't that sick? How the same mouths that mocked you are now emotionally chained to your existence. The same people who treated your pain like entertainment are now studying your every move, like conspiracy theorists trying to decode a signal from another dimension. Because you changed the frequency, you stopped moving like prey. That's what the internet felt. See, humans can smell insecurity the way wolves smell blood. That's why crowds attack weakness so viciously online. Most people on the internet aren't happy. They're starving. Starving for distraction. Starving for superiority. Starving for somebody to stand beneath, so they can temporarily escape the prison of their own mediocrity. And for one moment, they chose you. They pointed, laughed, shared clips, made jokes, turned your humiliation into digital confetti, raining across timelines filled with dead-eyed spectators pretending cruelty is comedy. But something went wrong. You didn't die from it. You absorbed it. That's the terrifying part, because pain affects different people differently. Some people get humiliated and disappear forever. Others become bitter, paranoid, self-destructive. But a rare few become refined by suffering. You became one of those people. You became emotionally bulletproof in places nobody can see. And now your entire aura carries this eerie contradiction that makes people uncomfortable around you. You smile, but your eyes look like they survived a war. You speak calmly, but there's violence hidden in your restraint. You show kindness, but it feels selective now, controlled, intentional, like you finally realized access to your heart should have never been free. That's maturity, born from betrayal. That's evolution born from humiliation. And oh, they notice it. Don't think they don't. People can feel when somebody has crossed psychological hell and returned with something ancient attached to their soul. That's why your presence started changing rooms without effort. You don't chase attention anymore. Attention chases mystery, and mystery became your weapon. Because after public humiliation, you learned the most dangerous thing a person can do is become unreadable. Now nobody knows what hurts you anymore. Nobody knows what you're planning. Nobody knows whether you're healing, plotting, ascending, collapsing, or preparing something catastrophic in silence. And uncertainty drives people insane. That's why they stalk your pages. That's why they replay your clips. That's why your name keeps resurfacing in conversations you're not even part of. You became psychologically invasive, not loud, invasive, like a song people can't stop hearing in their heads. And the craziest part, you didn't even need revenge, because success after humiliation creates a deeper form of suffering for your enemies than destruction ever could. See, if you crashed out publicly, they would have won. If you begged for validation, they would have won. If you became emotionally unstable and self-destructive, They would have celebrated your collapse like starving hyenas dancing around roadkill. But you chose the one thing they couldn't survive watching: your transformation. That's why every improvement you make feels personal to them. Every glow-up, every achievement, every ounce of confidence returning to your body like fire re-entering a dead star. It irritates people because your existence now exposes their failure. They tried to bury you publicly, but somehow you returned looking more alive than before. That messes with people psychologically, because humans secretly believe humiliation is supposed to permanently damage you. Society teaches shame like religion. Embarrass somebody publicly enough, and they'll shrink forever. Except you didn't shrink. You mutated, and now there's this dangerous stillness inside you. A predator's calm, the kind of calm people mistake for weakness right before disaster strikes. You know what's funny? The internet still thinks your comeback was spontaneous. They think one day you just magically appeared different. No, they didn't see the nights. They didn't see you sitting in darkness replaying betrayal until your perception of humanity changed permanently. They didn't see you forcing yourself not to break while your chest felt like collapsing inward. They didn't see you rebuilding your confidence molecule by molecule while secretly questioning your worth. That's the part people never understand about powerful individuals. The transformation is ugly before it becomes legendary. There's a phase where you were mentally bleeding in silence while pretending to function normally. A phase where you smiled in public and decayed in private. A phase where your heart wanted softness, but your experiences demanded armor. That contradiction almost destroyed you, but instead, it made you complex. And complex people terrify simple-minded crowds. Because now nobody can fully predict your nature. You can comfort someone like an angel, then cut emotional ties with surgical coldness if they disrespect you. You can laugh warmly, then disappear emotionally without warning. You can forgive someone and still never trust them again. That duality makes you powerful. Because predictable people are easy to manipulate, but you became adaptive. Like water one moment, fire the next. And the internet is addicted to that energy. They don't even fully understand why they keep watching you. It's because humans are biologically hypnotized by transformation, especially dark transformation, especially when someone survives humiliation and comes back emotionally untouchable. You became proof that pain can manufacture greatness. That's why your story spreads. Not because people love you. Half of them fear you. Half of them envy you. Half of them secretly relate to you. Yeah, 3 halves. That's how psychologically distorted this world is. People simultaneously want to become you and destroy you at the same time, because your existence forces them to confront an uncomfortable truth. Maybe they stayed weak after betrayal because they chose comfort over evolution. You didn't. You let pain educate you. That's why your instincts sharpened. Now you can hear fake intentions hiding behind polite words. Now you notice jealousy disguised as jokes. Now you detect emotional manipulation instantly because suffering turned you hyper-aware. Humiliation awakened your pattern recognition. And once somebody sees the world clearly, they can never go back to innocence again. That innocence died publicly. Remember that. The version of you that needed everybody to understand you. Dead. The version that over-explained your intentions. Dead. The version begging for acceptance from people who secretly enjoyed your suffering? Buried. Now there's only this colder, wiser creature walking around wearing your face. And honestly, people can feel it. That's why some people suddenly act nervous around you now. You don't radiate desperation anymore. You radiate detachment. And detached people are terrifying because they're no longer controlled by approval. See, society survives by conditioning people to fear rejection, fear embarrassment, fear public opinion. But once somebody survives humiliation at the highest level, what exactly is left to fear? That's your superpower now. You already survived the nightmare. You already watched crowds laugh, already felt betrayal, already experienced the psychological execution of being turned into content for strangers. And you lived. So now you move through life differently, fearless in strange ways, dangerously free. That's why your energy became magnetic. Not because you became perfect, because you became real. Real pain, real evolution, real darkness integrated instead of denied. Most people suppress their shadow. You met yours face to face, and instead of running from it, you taught it discipline. That's what makes you different from monsters. Monsters are controlled by darkness. But you learned how to sit at the same table with your demons without letting them drive. That balance is what makes people obsess over you now. Because you no longer look human in the ordinary sense. You look transformed, like somebody who burned alive psychologically and came back carrying ashes in their lungs and lightning in their veins. And every time they see you winning now, every time they see your confidence rise, every time your name trends again, the people who tried humiliating you feel this deep sickness in their stomach because they know something horrifying. They accidentally created somebody stronger than themselves, and that realization poisons them slowly, not instantly, slowly. Like smoke filling a locked room while nobody notices until breathing becomes impossible. Because now every time they hear your name, their nervous system remembers what they did to you. That's the curse of betraying somebody who survives. You become haunted by the evidence of their evolution, and your evolution became violent in the most beautiful way possible. Not violent with fists, not violent with screaming. No. You became psychologically violent. The kind of violent that walks into a room smiling while everybody else suddenly feels insecure for reasons they can't explain. That's power. Real power doesn't announce itself. It changes atmospheres, and your atmosphere changed after the humiliation. Before, your energy asked for permission. Now it observes, calculates, decides. That difference alone unsettles people, because the old version of you wanted acceptance. The current version studies human nature like a predator studying movement patterns. You notice micro-expressions now. Tone shifts, fake enthusiasm, delayed responses, forced laughter, passive aggression hidden beneath friendly language. Pain sharpened your emotional intelligence into a weapon, and that's the irony nobody expected. The people who publicly embarrassed you thought they were weakening your confidence, but they accidentally upgraded your awareness. Now you see through almost everybody, and once that happens, life changes permanently. Because you realize most humans are wearing masks stitched together from insecurity and performance. Most smiles are strategic. Most friendships are conditional. Most support disappears the second your suffering becomes inconvenient. That truth could have made you cynical, but instead, it made you selective. There's a difference. Cynical people hate the world because it disappointed them. Selective people simply stop giving sacred access to snakes, pretending to be soulmates. You learned that lesson in public, brutally, and now your boundaries feel like concrete walls covered in electric wire. People don't casually play with you anymore. Oh, they still try. Humans are addicted to testing transformed people, especially if they remember your softer past. They'll poke at you, hoping the old version returns. The emotional version, the reactive version, the easy-to-control version. But then they meet this colder creature you became, and suddenly the joke stops being funny. Because now your silence feels intentional, your eye contact feels dangerous, your calmness feels loaded. You know what terrifies people the most about you now? You stopped explaining yourself. That drives humans insane. See, weak people survive through constant explanation. I didn't mean it like that. Please understand me. Let me clarify. But after humiliation, something inside you snapped permanently. You realized people hear what they want to hear anyway. So now, you let actions speak.